Today's topic, my top 5 fears for my through hike of the PCT. All right, let's get into it. Got them written down right here. 5 top fears. Probably can't read that. It's going to be a tough one for me because, in keeping with the basically the start of this channel, I'm not really talking about the typical things that people talk about when they're getting ready to go onto the PCT and do through hiking in general. But hey, I'm not your typical hiker, I guess. Really, what is a typical hiker? I don't even know what that is. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Number 5. Treacherous mountain passes covered with snow. It's number 5 on my list because it's not my top fear, but it still made the list. I've done a lot of stuff that required me getting over my fear of heights, which I've done fairly successfully through most of my life, but I still got issues. I got some slight vertigo issues occasionally that come up. There's some knife edge ridge walks along this path. There's depending on what the snow is going to be like, there's going to be moments where I'm going to be on literally on slippery slopes with nowhere but down to go. So while it's not a top fear, it's on my mind. Obviously not something I need to think about until I get there, so I'm not really going to dwell on it. But while I was thinking about things that could possibly come up for me on the trail, that was one that came up. I'm about as prepared or as trained as I can be. It's not like I haven't dealt with snow before. I've had to learn how to do fall arrests and all of that sort of thing. I've done enough of it so that I know I can get through it, but it's not something that's necessarily going to be easy for me. But hey, if everything in life were easy, where would the fun be in that? Number 4, bugs. Specifically mosquitoes. I just dislike mosquitoes. In fact, I am still hard-pressed to figure out what a good reason for them to be in the world is, because they just seem to cause nothing but misery and pass disease. And I've been through some of the areas that we'll get to later, like in northern Oregon, southern Washington, where there's lots of mosquitoes. I've been there during mosquito seasons, and it's not fun, and I'm not looking forward to it. I'll do the permethrin on equipment and clothes. I'm not a big fan of DEET, so I'm going to avoid that, but I'm looking into like mosquito patches and repellent patches and things like that. I've got bug net. I know how to cover myself. I've got the right clothing and whatnot to cover myself if I need to, but mosquitoes just drive me crazy. Number 3, my health. And specifically in close relation to that is food. Food and health. I'm primarily vegetarian, leaning vegan. I have periods in my life where I go very strictly vegan, depending on where I'm at in my life and what's going on. But I've been vegetarian since 1988, and then vegan for a long stretch of that. On top of that, I've had issues with hypoglycemia. I've had, I just watched Root Cause, which if you haven't had a chance to watch that and you've had a fair bit of dental work in the past, you might want to check out Root Cause. That has helped clarify some of the issues, at least the cause of the issues, some of the issues that I have had in the past and continue to struggle with, and that's not going to be anything I'm going to be able to take care of before I go on the trail. It'll definitely be toward the end of the year, or at the end of the year, maybe the beginning of next year, when I finally get to take care of some of that stuff. So my nutrition is a huge concern. There are lots of things that I'll be taking with me that maybe not a lot of people do, like mixing green food in my drinks, trying to get as many of those vitamins and minerals in as I can along the way. But I know that there have been times, even when I'm doing training hikes, where if I am not on good nutritional ground, I will bonk out pretty quickly, and I'm not looking forward to that. So that'll be something I'll be on top of most of the time. Get a lot of helicopters flying over here. It's LA, so it's just another helicopter patrols are a part of life here. So sorry if you're gonna hear some helicopters occasionally in the background. So where was I? I will be trying to go primarily vegan on this. I'm sure there'll be some cheese pizza occasionally on the trail, but I'm going to try to keep it vegan as much as possible. I know there's quite a few of us out there on the trail. I joined a couple of Facebook groups that are all about veganism on the trail, so getting some good information and resupply information from them. So I'm identifying some specific spots where I probably will want to mail myself some resupplies. I'm going to try to do as much resupplying without doing that, just doing town and resupplies along the way. We'll see how that goes. Number 2, money. This one is a little bit embarrassing, just because I had thought by this point in my life I'd be swimming in dough, but apparently I haven't figured that out yet. When I am working, I make pretty good money, and so I figured in the months leading up to this I'd be able to stockpile a fair bit of dough. I figured out I'm going to spend with what I'm spending on the trail and bills and other financial obligations. I'm going to spend about $8,000 over the 6 months that I'm on the trail. And I don't have that yet, so I'm still trying to figure that out, and that's a little scary to me, just because, well, it's a lot scary to me because I don't know what I'm going to be starting with. I don't know, I might have $5 to my name when I hit that trail the first day. I don't really know, so I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm still toying with the idea of doing like a Patreon or some sort of subscription or donation thing, which is something I've never done before. I've never really gone out en masse to ask people for money other than for investing in film projects that I've done over the years. So it's that one's a little nerve-wracking to me. Again, that sort of goes back to the whole food thing. If I don't have money to pay for food, where am I going to get my calories? Where am I going to get my nutrition? Suffice to say that it's making me more than a little nervous at this point that I'm not going to have what I need to complete this trail. So, but I'm just kind of jumping in and trusting the universe that it's going to happen. And doing whatever I can to make sure that happens. So anybody out there looking for a grip or a gaffer, but hey, there it is. This is going to be the nature of my vlog, just embarrassing myself over and over again, which gets me to my number 1 fear for this trail, and it's probably not at the top of a lot of people's lists, but there are probably a few out there who can identify, and that's this vlog. Vlogging is my number 1 fear for this trail. I know I'm, look like I was born to be on camera, and my wit and charm and grace probably just exudes through this tiny little phone camera lens, but don't let that fool you. This ish scares me quite a bit, and doing whatever I can to push through it and just make it happen, and I can only assume that it'll get easier over time. But as I imagine, Unfortunately, there's only I got like 12 subscribers right now, so there's not a ton of people out there watching. I can't imagine what it'll be like when there's 1,000 people listening to what I have to say. I guess the thing that scares me the most about it is that I know I don't want this to be the sort of thing where I'm just talking about all the happy-go-lucky, awesome things that are happening to me on the trail. There's going to be a lot of downside, a lot of times where I'm just not in a good mood and things aren't going my way, and or I've just done something incredibly stupid or whatever. And I know I'm committing to sharing those moments, and that scares me. Of course it does, because I'm just not used to. I'm not used to being all that vulnerable in person with the people in my life, let alone being vulnerable like this to the masses. And this will, live on as long as I decide to keep this channel active. So that, for better or for worse, is my number one fear, is sharing all of me with you. So I don't know. That'll probably be where I could use the most support from you guys. Let me know if there's stuff you don't want to hear about, things you do want to hear about. Maybe you can help me figure out what the best things to be talking about on this channel will be. We'll do this together, I guess. And I know that eventually I'm going to be depending on your support. So just psychically and spiritually through the hard times on the trail. And I know they're coming. So there you go. My top 5 fears. Who knows? Who knows how things are going to develop as time goes on, and my fears will probably change. I might have to update this when I'm like 2 months into it and things shift, and I'm not so worried about one thing, but something else pops up. It's the nature of life, right? And the trail, I think, just intensifies that. So thanks for listening.